Hello, everybody. This is Stephen Grip here with Medicare Gurus Dojo. It is Monday, July 18th, and as you can see here, we are a very busy floor. So we're going to be having agents coming in and out, talking about their, what's going on the floor, asking questions. What I'll be doing here is I'll just be kind of introducing what we're going to talk about today. And then that way, as agents start filtering in, we'll be able to ask them the questions about what we're talking about. So today, what I'm going to be focusing on is being a new agent. I am a recruiter here in Medicare Gurus. I'm an agent here. I'm a leader. I'm a director, but also I'm an agent. And so I'm here to help with agents getting ramped up and getting comfortable with the system here. But what I want to talk about is when I first started as an agent. I started 4 years ago, 2018. And I remember when I was just coming onto the floor and I was so nervous. Yeah, come on in. I was, just coming from teaching and, I got the training and I got on the floor. Just have a seat. Just have a seat up here. Yeah. And so what happened was, I get my training, I come on the floor. I know very, very little about Medicare. I know very, very little about sales. And, I had a good teacher who taught me how to, a good supervisor who helped train me become an agent who I was today. And so that's kind of what we're talking about. So, Casey, this is your first day today. Is that correct?
Yeah, first day.
Yeah. So how's it going so far?
Just learning and listening.
Yeah.
Taking all the information.
Good. So let me ask you this, because today the theme is being a new agent. What is going on in your mind right now as you start this new career as an agent in Medicare? What's going on in your mind?
I guess first thing would be learning the steps on actually taking the call. Of course, there's a script. Of course, the customer is going to want something, whether they stay with their doctors, whether it's the medicine. My first thought or process of understanding this my first day is learning it. I mean, figuring out what they want, listening, and I guess giving them that.
Right.
So that's where I'm at.
That's good. No, I mean, that's an awesome first day. When you're talking to somebody, you're probably like, oh my goodness, what do I do? There's so much stuff with Medicare.
Oh.
But, successful agents started from the beginning. I was just telling a story about when I started, just like you, So when you're talking to somebody, have you got on the phone yet, or are you still doing
No,
listening?
I'm still still listening. I mean, because I'm still trying to get the understanding of, okay, once I get the call, I gotta get some, information, personal information. I gotta figure out what they want, but then I'm still learning that script. So,
Right.
I mean, I can't just jump in there and be like, oh, let me fumble through this script and turn around and try to fumble through figuring out what screen I need to be on as well. So as far as me, I like to take things slow and understand exactly what I'm doing before I jump into something. So
yeah, that's interesting that you say that, because there is a philosophy behind bringing in someone for sales, whether you put them into a room for, a week and just have them learn Medicare. And that's how we used to do things. But what we have seen to be more successful for people like you is, yes, you do want your time to learn things. You do want your comfort level to be at a place where you can talk to people.
Right.
But it's better, and this is just from experience, for you to learn that while you're on the phone.
Oh, definitely.
Do you agree or disagree?
No, I definitely like learning hands-on for sure. And plus, it's like at my own pace. There's nobody's pressuring me. It's
Right.
like if I want to get on there and do it, like honestly, first 4 hours I think I've been here so far. I'm getting comfortable. I think after this, because I don't know how long this goes on for, I take the lunch and then actually try to hit some calls and try to get on there and run through the script. And I mean, it's not that hard. I mean,
yeah. It isn't. No, well, the cool thing about what we're doing now is you can come and go. So you don't have to stay there the entire time. If you want to go get lunch now, or if you just want to stay for a little bit and chat, it's entirely up to you.
I'm taking in everything. That's just the way I am.
Okay, good.
I'm the type that I could have took lunch or left a long time ago.
Right.
Nope.
Good. That's good.
Taking the information. I'm looking at everybody around me, understanding how they are, how they get comfortable with the person on the other side that needs help. Because a lot of these people don't understand. They don't understand it. It's a lot to take,
Yeah.
and nobody explains it to them.
Let's go on with that. So when you're listening to these calls, right? What are some things that you're hearing that is working?
The first thing is a couple of the calls that I've listened to already. It's more like they had something, they got rid of it, they didn't understand what it was they were paying money for,
Mhm.
and they're just set up wrong.
Right.
They're set up all the way wrong, and nobody explained it to them.
Right.
Explained it to them. But yeah, no, it's that's what I'm getting a lot of. Is nobody's really explaining it to them. There's this other call I was listening to that basically she set up but has a ton of medications and gets help but doesn't want to mess that up.
Right.
So she doesn't realize like that it won't mess it up, but
Right.
trust issue.
Yeah. That, I mean,
A couple of things.
and what's crazy that you're learning that on day one is that you don't need to know everything about Medicare. You don't.
Just need to know where to find it.
Yes. Well, yes, you know where to find it. I mean, you have the resources as an agent here, but you understand when you get someone on the phone and they're starting to talk to you, they are telling you their problem, and there are people out there that are like, I don't care about the problem. I want to fix the problem.
Right.
But you are like, I need to listen to this person. I need to listen to find out what the problem is. Oh, the problem is no one explained to them how it works. And that's what's very important about what we do here is that we do have that script that you're learning. But what the most important thing is in that moment of having a conversation with them, building that trust, building that rapport, they're like, okay, I'm going to trust this person because they're listening to me.
Right.
So yeah, this is Casey. This is Brandon. Yeah.
Nice to meet you, man.
Yeah.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Yeah, we were just having a initial conversation about being a new agent and what that's like.
Yeah.
And why don't you share your story of what it was like when you first started?
Well, I had a good mentor.
Right.
I mean, that was it, my dad.
Right.
So my dad beat the streets. He started in the insurance business 1984. I mean, old man stories, right? But he started there, and he worked for Physicians Mutual Insurance Company. And that was back in the days, they had regional offices, and they put a manager in an office, get a guy like me or you, here's an office, get a secretary, run ads in the paper, bring people in, sign them up, give them their insurance license, and get them out there. And that, so his whole job was to hire as many people as possible. Training, all that. Here's the training my dad got. All right, so here's the applications, and here's outlines of coverages. Remember, 3 signatures, 2 checks. There's 3 places on this deal to get it, and 2 checks. One's for the first month's premium, one's a voided check. Go get them, Tiger.
Good luck.
Good luck. And so he had that training, and so he had done business sales his whole life, cold calling businesses, going into businesses. Was really good at it. Never found the opportunity that stayed around though. And so he started going business to business. Hey, anyone over 65? You got anyone here that's retiring soon and all this? No idea how to get a lead source. Well, about 3 or 4 months later, he's struggling. I'm a teenager. My brother's a teenager. Or I'm like preteen. My brother's a teenager. And he's like, he calls the guy and says, hey, I'm going to have to let it go. I don't have a way to get customers. I don't know what to do. And he goes, well, I don't want you to quit. He didn't care if he was making money. He just didn't want him to quit. He goes, so I do have this little lead budget that the company gives me. And why don't I send you a list of names of people over 65 with their phone number?
When was this, 3 months after?
Yeah, 3 or 4 months. He's quitting. He didn't want him to quit. No, don't show him anything on the front, but don't let him quit because that looks bad on your numbers.
Right.
And my dad goes, what is this? What are you talking about? He didn't know anything about marketing. So he sends him a list, and it's like one of those old dot matrix printers.
Uh-huh.
He had the peel and stick labels that
Right.
are good for mailing. And so this is what we did. So anyway, so it would come in and say, Miss Jones, 123 Any Street, Lufkin, Texas. And it would have their phone number on the top right-hand corner. I can visualize it right now.
Mm.
And he's like, oh my gosh, all these people are over 65 and on Medicare.
Right.
And so this was my childhood bedroom. My teenage years, I was in this bedroom here across the hall. He was in this other bedroom, put a desk in, and he started cold calling these people.
Uh-huh.
And then, you get the card phone and all that. And he started getting to where he could make a living. He'd make 3 or 4 or 5 a week. Later on, he became one of the top performers in Physicians Mutual. And I can tell all kinds of stories about that.
Yeah.
But that got him started. 12 years later, I come along. And this was right at the point where he was becoming an independent agent. He had left Physicians and started getting with other carriers and all of that. And I spent 2 summers during college driving around with him. I would cold call from the bedroom every morning. He's on one side of the house, I'm on the other side, and we're cold calling. And we'd set appointments this afternoon to go out with him. And in those 2 summers, riding around with him, doing the cold call, the work, the hard work, and then in the afternoons going out and seeing the presentations in the homes and meeting the people and all that. But 2 summers of that, and then I decided I didn't know what I was doing in college. I quit at Christmas time, and I came back, got my license January 1997. I sold 17 policies my first month, and no one had ever heard of that. And it's like, wow, you must be the best salesman ever. I'm like, well, I really not my first month. I spent 6 months doing this with one of the top agents in the country for this.
Right.
So it's not that great, right? But then he and I, within a year, decided we're going to get an office for a partnership, and everything goes on from there. But the biggest thing I can say is I had a mentor. And what I tell people who are new in any business or whatever is success is so hard to come by. My father has 165, something like that IQ, beyond genius. He's a Green Beret, so he's mentally tough, mentally smart, has that. The stuff, but he was struggling, bouncing around business to business, job to job, and all that in sales until he found the right stable system, and then was able to figure it out. He was having all the struggles that most people in sales have, because let's face it, most sales jobs are people like people hadn't sold or doing it, and they're promising the moon if you only sell this much and you don't get it and all that. So what I tell people is find a good stable system. Find something that's working. It's like, don't try to create a wave in the ocean, like find a wave in the ocean and ride on it. It's easier, right? And so find that, do whatever you have to do to find that good mentor, that good system, all of that. And if you find that, then go all in, trust it, and put blinders on. Don't let anybody say anything else. Like, you know it, you feel it in your heart, it feels good and resonates with you, then you have to trust your mentor, you have to trust your system. Because to get from nothing to success, it's going to take a lot of challenges. You're going to have to weather the storms. You're going to have to face your own demons. You're going to have to face ups and downs and all this other stuff. But you got to trust the system. If you've trusted it to get on it, you have to trust the system, put blinders, say, I'm going to make this work. Other people can make it work. I can make it work. And don't try to second guess it or change up and all that. That doesn't mean become a zombie. Of course, the reason you're there is to add your own personality and unique interactions, your abilities to connect with customers and all that to it. No system's going to do that for you. That's why, thank God, the world needs people still. They're trying to get rid of it, but that's what it is. So that's my, I'll get off my soapbox.
Your mentor story. So do you remember your first mentor? When you first started?
Andy.
Yeah. What was that like? What made him help you realize, like, okay, this is what I'm going to be doing?
Just because of the way he really believed in what he was doing, and now he went at it from the point of view of helping people, and really truly wanted to do what's best for them, and how thankful these people were just for us to give them our time of day. It meant so much to them, and I knew that was for me.
Yeah. So then when you started out as a new agent and you had your mentor, when did you know in your career that you got it? Like, you knew, like, okay, I feel comfortable talking about, you didn't know everything about Medicare, but you knew, like, okay, I can handle conversations without any hand holding or whatever it is. Like, when did you know?
Several months, I think, because Medicare is a big animal to learn, and but I think it took a few months to, probably about a month or so, to realize, it doesn't matter that I don't know everything. I still know more than them, and I have the resources that I need.
You got that your first morning. That's what you were just saying. right? That you don't have to know everything.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just have to know where to look or where to go to. That's with a lot of things, So and it's just asking questions, getting things out of people, getting information so you can help them, so you can even know what in the heck is going on in their world,
Yeah.
so you can help. And once I realized that that's mainly all I'm doing, and I have, if I do what I do the right way, I'll get a sell out of it. But really, it's just helping. It's not necessarily selling Medicare. It's helping these people with what they need.
Mhm.
Is all it is.
Did you have a mentor?
Justin.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And when did you realize, okay, I could do this?
When I got going, well, probably in the first, once I was on the phones and everything, probably in the first month,
Mhm.
I was realizing I could do pretty well talking to people and connecting with them and figuring out what they needed. And so that's when I knew this is a good place for me, being in this area, in this field.
Yeah.
I can do some good. I want to do good.
Yeah.
Do some good.
Yeah. Well, no, there comes a point where you start to learn
Mhm.
that you're like, okay, I get comfortable with this, that you get, I could say you get bombarded with all this information. You're like, oh, okay, now I feel comfortable talking about Advantage plans. Okay, now I feel comfortable. And a lot of times we get to that point where we start to know more, we want to share more,
Yeah.
because I'm a sharer,
Yeah.
sharing means caring. And I'm all about like sharing information. So it's like when we get new agents on the board, it's a delicate balance of realizing, okay, you're learning more, but don't change the concept. Don't change the root, which is they need help. And we don't need to overeducate them. We don't need to tell them everything about Medicare. We don't need to tell them, hey, back in 1965 when the Medicare plans, like I love sharing information like that. But that, like in essence, the core values are like what you're saying, like they just need help. They just need to trust somebody because it's just so crazy how this industry is. We were talking about earlier about, that the way that the industry is moving is just automation, that people are just calling up and they're getting no help and no one wants to do that.
Well, we have a lot of mass produced incompetence.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is. Like, let's do things poorly, but let's do it harder, faster, and at scale.
Yeah.
And that's only possible because you have Wall Street money and private equity money
Yeah.
behind all this, and they're looking on 10-year timelines. I think that's what the problem is. I mean, we don't have the organic economy where, I gotta pay for my dinner today. I gotta go out and help someone win a client and use that reputation for a long term. I'm not looking to pump up my numbers and sell out on the next round of private equity in the next week or whatever.
Right.
So,
And Matthew, what was that first call we listened to? He was so appreciative of what? Of just
That's
taking the time.
Yeah.
He said, he literally said, nobody ever told me any of this stuff. Nobody ever took the time to tell me this.
Yeah, she was the one I was talking about earlier, guys.
Yeah.
She did really good.
But isn't that sad though, how rare that is?
Yeah.
They just, and then the businesses wonder why there's a churn problem,
right.
It's just sad, but no, I mean, that's,
Well, first of all, they take the lowest hanging fruit, and now you're getting these offshore call centers that are calling everyone in the world, and they're getting worse and worse at connecting people. So the leads that everyone's calling and reselling 20 times are people who will just allow you to just say, okay, give me your number and have someone call me. But they're not creating any value or real interest in a lot of respects. And so what you're going to see there is, well, yeah, these are the people, and people are like, oh, look at my cost per acquisition. But these are people who will buy anything that anyone who calls them does. And so, yeah, the next person who calls them, they're going to do it. Our industry is trained, get everyone to switch every year during annual enrollment period, which is the worst time for anyone to switch if they're on Medicare supplement, by the way. But, and then it works for the bigs because they can hire seasonal workers, just put so much volume and just everyone has to enroll real quick, blah, blah, blah. But they think it works for them. Their numbers, they look at their quarterly numbers, they look at all that. But as we're seeing in the industry, those things are starting to bite them because they're like, yeah, we're going to have 3, 4 year, 5-year persistency. No, you have 6-month, 9-month persistency in a lot of cases. And your churn rate over and over because you're training people, and it seems like a race to the bottom. But I think we can be the answer to that.
Mm-hmm.
We can be the answer to that, and we start one person at a time, one conversation at a time, one agent at a time. And we do that here, and maybe the world will go a different way. But my dad said something one time I'll never forget. He said, "Brandon, you'll never be able to make the world into heaven, but you can carve your own little piece of heaven out of it." And so that's what we try to do, right? At least there will be a good place to go.
Yeah.
Right? And if we can amplify that as much as possible, that's great. But that's all we can only control. What we can control, and we're going to do a good job.
Yeah. It's very rare to see a place where you give out a phone number, and when you call that number, you're actually going to have a live person on the phone. You know,
I insist on it.
right? But that's a rarity in the business.
But that holds you as an agent accountable for what you do, because you have to answer for what you did, whether it be good or bad.
And you know what else is that doesn't give you the metrics that you want for someone in their high office to be able to manage.
Oh yeah, if metrics
Yeah,
is king. No, it's horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah.
But it's a lot harder to answer the phone with a friendly voice, and you lose a little bit of the recording because it's really hard to go around and figure some of those things out. You still have some, and it's really hard to have a team of people who care. But all of that stuff can go away if every single person here is loves their clients, is motivated about the opportunity, and gives it their best every day. And to create a culture where that's what we have, and that's what's cool about the way you guys are gelling and all that. It's almost like the winners come in and go, hell yeah, and the losers are kind of like, yeah, I think I'm gonna bounce. And that's when you really know you're building something that's good, because it becomes a self. No one has to make the firing decisions or the hiring, and we don't have to. Not that we don't review and we don't look, but it's like we don't have to sit here. Let's do your performance evaluation. Okay, I would like to see you're an 8 on this scale and like we don't have to do that. The numbers will be there or they won't. You're working your best, and whether if everyone's doing the best of their ability, they're going to have different paths. But nurturing that for everyone to be as much as they can be and take the path that they can take and self-direct their path. And that's a winning combination, because it takes out a lot of that overhead. That actually, like on the first level, is good when you do it, but as it gets bigger and bigger, it becomes more and more destructive, as we've all talked about and seen 100 times. It destroys value. Management destroys value. Coaching creates value.
Yeah.
I was agent of the month last month. In my other agency, I would have got pulled to the side and said, well, let's talk about you're not taking enough calls and you're taking too long on your calls and we're going to write you up. That's what I would have gotten.
Yeah.
That's what I would have gotten.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because they don't even know the metrics. It's every time you make a sale, you lose a chance to make up 50 dials.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, I didn't make my dial.
That's why amateurs come in and they say, I make so many dials a day. So I'm working hard. Well, that's mass producing content.
Mm-hmm.
The pros, they make less dials because they get into more conversations quicker, and then they take their time in those conversations and they get more sales at the end of the day with less resources and less burnt energy.
Mm-hmm.
And think about what difference you make in the world when you bother 400 people a day.
I feel like a little mosquito.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes sense. No, you're right.
You're bothering 400 people a day, and people want to scale that up.
Right.
How about take that person and get them to where they're not bothering so many people, where they're actually bringing in value? And yeah, a few people are there's numbers in that, but bring those numbers down and actually be given value. And then you call 7 or 8 people and you get into a long conversation, you build a lifetime relationship with someone. Now that's a game changer.
Yeah.
Right? And those 6, 7 other people that it didn't work out for, well, they really missed out.
If they hit their dials.
Yeah. And your time on conversation
stuff.
What's funny to me from doing lead generation and having to get the phone to build the office and the phone systems, get the people and all that, everything it takes to get that phone ring, and then tell someone they're on the phone too quick. Right?
Yeah.
Like, it's so hard to get there, and the only thing that matters is an agent talking to a customer, supported by the best products and systems, and a qualified customer who can buy. And when you get there, man, it's like you're on your victory lap. Don't try to run it real quick and get back to the locker. You're on your victory lap, man. Take as long as it takes, because it's not that. You're in the gold mine. You've been looking, you've been searching, you found the gold mine. It's here. You have the machinery here and all that. And it's like, you got to get out of here in 15 minutes.
Mhm.
No, we're going to sit here and mine this gold as long as it takes.
Right.
To get all the gold we can out of the situation, because it was really hard to get. So, and that's, industry misses a lot of that.
It's a hard job. It is a very hard job to do.
Can't be an order taker.
Yeah, but to get them to be an order taker, that's the magic. You know, where we don't come in, we're not trying to, like you said, we're not trying to sell people stuff. We want to give them the courtesy and the understanding of what they have. And then we make the recommendation. That's why I don't like to say, I know that we want to be salesmen or saleswomen, but I like to say when I talk to a client, I'm like, what I'm going to do is I'm going to listen to what's going on with you. I'm going to understand and discern on what I need to recommend. And then I'm going to make a recommendation. That's what I do. I want to make sure that you understand what you're doing. We are not, we're not turn and burn. You know, like when they ask for quotes, like we had this issue before, you know, remember? It's like the guy just wanted quotes and I'm like, I don't get quotes, you know? There's no point because it doesn't mean anything. I want to make sure that I understand what you're going through. And that might be frustrating for you as a client because you're like, I don't know what I have. It's like, that's fine. Let's figure it out together. And that, what Frank does really well is he takes them on that journey together.
Oh, yeah.
He loves
So
talking about that
lengthy
journey. Yeah. Yeah. He always says the best advice. He's like, you know, you just talk with them until you're just at this point where you're like, all right, so we're going to do this. And they're like, yeah, might as well do it. You know? Oh, that is so hard to do because he talks.
I put myself out if I talk that much.
Oh,
But you know what?
there's that
Love
sweet
you,
spot.
Frank.
Yeah.
Love you, Frank, wherever you are.
There's that sweet spot though, you know, where
Uh,
I remember he was having a conversation. We were doing a final expense. And I was transferring it over to him to talk about the plan. And the lady was on the fence between whether she wanted to be cremated or whether she wanted to be buried. And I recommended, well, you know, if it's cost, you know, you might want to look into getting an urn and looking into getting cremated. And so I passed over to Frank, and Frank went over the history of mausoleums.
Oh,
He went over
course he did.
the increase of price when it comes to, you know, leaving your urn at a certain mausoleum or leaving it. And he just talked about like how urn productivity is I'm like, Frank, how do you know that? You
I
know?
don't know how he knows that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wonder if he's like
a walking, talking encyclopedia Britannica.
yeah. So he's just talking to them about urn manufacturing, and I'm like, oh, Frank, this is boring. But the person was listening,
Loving it, yeah.
and then he's like, in the end, you know, when you reserve a plot or reserve a space, it's going to end up being like $4,000 to $5,000. So it makes sense to, you know, look into comparing that to a casket. This casket's going to be, if you have the money to do it, why not? It's like he wasn't even trying to sell the casket, and the lady's like, you know what? I think I am going to look into getting a casket. It's like, right. So this how much? And we ended up doing a 20 instead of a 10,000, we did a 20,000 because the price was like $30 to $40 more.
Mhm.
But they're like,
She came to that conclusion herself with all that information there.
but it's like the way that he explained it. It's like,
Amazing.
yeah, urn manufacturing, riveting information.
Right.
Yeah, urn manufacturing magazine. I'm just making it up. I have no idea.
Subscribe to it.
Yeah, I have no idea. But it's like, it made me think like, do I want to be that elevated level of agent, you know? Because Frank was the first to do all that stuff. I mean, he goes over all, and you listen to his calls, he just rambles and rambles and rambles. I mean, he does it in real life,
Yeah.
you know?
Right.
But it's like, he says that it works and his numbers work. Do you feel like what is your strategy? Are you going to try and implement that a little bit where you kind of wear down the client a little bit, talking about information, about history, about all that stuff, till eventually they're like, yeah, we might as well just do it? Or are you like, stick to your own style?
No, I try to incorporate all kinds of things all the time. I try different things. You know me, my style is wrap them in a warm, snuggly little blanket, and they feel
Right.
like they're in a caring cloud, and
Right.
they feel nice and snuggly. But I do try where I can. I don't know as much as Frank about as much as he knows.
Right.
Nor am I as well traveled. But I do try to put in my little 2 cents, my mini version of Frank,
Right.
into my
Me too.
spiel.
Yeah.
Where I feel like
Do you feel like it's making a difference?
But although I feel like I have to be careful because if I don't, I'll get myself off track.
Right.
So I can't
Yeah.
go to the depths that he goes. Because I will just be like, and what were we talking about now? And so I have to be
Right.
careful. So I try to find a good middle ground.
No, but when you listen to his calls closely, you definitely hear A/B closes within the conversations.
There's a knowingness.
Yeah.
Like at the end of this, we're buying.
Right. Yeah, there's a knowingness that we're buying. Yeah.
Bring y'all out some coffee real quick.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice. Thank
Here
you.
you go. Hot, don't spill it. Don't spill it.
Awesome.
Look at these mugs.
Cool.
Thank you.
I love it.
Fantastic. Yeah, this is great.
It's coffee
I
talk.
love it.
Yeah, it's coffee talk. No, but I mean, when I saw my sales increase a little bit because I got more familiar with the script, but also I wasn't doing I was trying to incorporate the education aspect, which can be detrimental, but I was doing it to where there was a point to it. Like I'm kind of wearing them down, and then it's like, okay, you want to do this or not? But it was tough for me because when it didn't work, it was like, what did I do wrong? Oh, I educated the crap out of them, you know?
It's
So
easy to do.
it is. I don't know.
Yeah.
It is.
Because you know so much and you want to share it with them.
Yeah.
And it
There's
just can
so
be
many ways to
overwhelming.
go about it, honestly.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, if you listen, you can kind of, you have the information, you can tell how old they are. You could tell whether they're either happy, grumpy. I mean, there's a whole bunch of ways you can read into the call before you even, determine which way you want to go about it, right?
Yeah. Oh, of course.
If you think about
Yes.
Yeah.
it. So,
Yeah.
and then not to mention if you have their information, you know what to look for as far as medications. Are they going to be worried about this? Are they going to be worried about their doctor? So I think, honestly, if you just listen, care, and at least adjust according to what the caller is, how they are. Are they the type to be angry? Do you need to, be more soothing? Do you need to? I think those are the ways. So I think there's so many ways that it work. It just depends on if you get the right one that matches well with you, or you got to adjust to match well with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And that's cool that you are reverse engineering it because a lot of times new agents come in and they're like, I'm going to be successful because I'm going to adhere to this script. And they just read the script and they go through it and they're like, at the end of the sale, they're like, oh, I'm going to think
if you
about it.
monotone a script, it's never going to
It's never going to work. It's never going to work.
Yeah, it's not going to work. You have to sound either sincere or sound like you're telling them something.
Right.
And nobody likes to be sold something. Nobody.
Nobody.
Especially when they know at the end money's involved.
Yeah, I totally agree. I tell people all the time, people do things that I've learned in life that people hate to be told what to do. They hate it.
Mm-hmm.
And also,
That's why Frank's winning. He's not telling them, I'm just giving you all the information.
exactly.
There
Yeah.
it is. Now
He
you choose.
leads them down the path of
Yeah.
what we're going to do.
Yeah. But also, the second thing is people love to do what they want to do.
Freedom is everything. There's no
Yeah.
Exactly.
Those two go hand in hand.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like, no, I'm not telling you, I promise you, I'm not telling you what to do. But then in the end, it's like, oh, everyone does what they want to do. When you're getting people saying like, I don't know, I'm going to think about it, I'm not sure. Well, that's not their fault. That's your fault for not getting them to understand this is what you want to do,
Right. Yeah.
especially with Advantage folk, it's tough. People think it's easier because you're offering free products, but they're actually harder to sell, as you guys probably.
Nobody
Yeah.
feels like you could get anything for free. Can't
Right.
get anything for $1.
True.
Right.
And they're starting to learn that there are some opportunities to get free stuff out there,
Yeah.
and they want it.
But I mean, if you think about it, how society is now, I mean, would you trust it? Can you trust it? It's
Yeah.
all about trust factor though.
Yeah.
For them, they're older.
Oh yeah,
You
Right.
see what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
they worked for everything they got.
yeah.
And they're saying, oh, this is free.
And also, a lot of people have made poor decisions in their life where they
Oh yeah.
have very little money.
And of course with all the scams going on,
Unbelievable. Yeah.
so I mean, come on, they have to protect themselves, so it's
Yeah.
kind of hard.
Yeah.
That's why, like in the beginning of the call, and throughout the call, you have to establish that you're professional, you know what you're doing, you know what you're talking about, you're not going to put them in peril. You are only here to improve upon their situation and help. You just have to make that clear to them.
Yeah. No, it's tough because you can hear it in their voice.
Yeah.
Actually, you don't hear it in their voice because they're not speaking. You know,
Right.
they're very quiet. They're nervous.
Yeah.
That's when I first started out. That was one of my biggest weaknesses because it's like I'm going to this presentation, I'm killing it. Person said nothing. You know, and I'm just like, hey, we got A and B, we got this and that, we got
Filling the space, yeah.
okay, then we got, and then here's the lowest price for you. What do you think? Okay. Oh, great, this is gonna be great. So all you have to do is let's sign it. Oh, I'm not signing anything.
You're feeling it, they're not.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It is a one-way conversation. Yeah.
That's why I like her technique though. So she made them feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And it was more of like, I think the way she did it was more of asking him, did you know about this?
Right.
And most of them don't.
Right.
Right.
And you don't want to knock them on their heels too far,
Right.
you know, because then they're like panicking, you know.
Mhm.
But they definitely, that's one of the biggest sales techniques that you could always have is if you tell them what to do or if you're instructing them, they're never going to listen to it.
Right.
You have to find a way by what you did, asking questions, to have them have the self-actualization.
Yeah, ask the questions. Did you had to kind of like find out, dig around and find out and tell them, look, educate, look, this is, you kind of what you knew in the past isn't really, so let's educate you. And then in the end, he's like, well, what do I do? I'm like, and now this is what you do. You do this,
Yeah.
A, B, and C, and then that's
No, break it down. No, she had a right number one. Right. But
Yeah.
because he kept jumping back and forth.
Right.
Because unless he had a list of how to do it, he was going to continue jumping back and forth on you. And
Right.
I seen it.
Yeah.
And that first number was what?
Yeah.
Medicaid? No,
And when
that
you called
was
that
Medicare.
second
Yeah.
time, he even reiterated, he said, okay, I'm going to call Medicaid and then Medicare and then you. I said, yeah, but you can call me any in between if,
Yeah. If you get lost.
yeah, something you understand.
Yeah.
Whatever. He sure did.
Yeah. This is going to sound chauvinistic, but we're all comfortable here. But it's kind of like that old wives trick where it's like, I can't tell my husband what to do, but I got to make him believe
Mhm.
that he made the decision.
Yeah,
And then that's why it gets done.
exactly.
That's what I learned with these clients. It's like, I can't tell them what to do
Mhm.
because we've only had this conversation, but I ask them questions. It's like, do you feel comfortable knowing that if you did this, this is going to be better for you? Yeah. So I call that, yes, good job. You call that number, or yes, we
Right.
sign this.
Right.
Because if you tell them all we have to do is do this, they're going to be immediately reserved.
Mhm. No,
Yeah.
but you're putting it in their head. Yeah, it's psychological, but because that's how people are, and you want to put the right thing, the right choice in their head to make them feel that they chose that.
Right.
Because otherwise, they're going to get in their way, and they're going to overthink it, and they're going to stay put, which could be the wrong thing to do. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, you're right. So let's do this. So we got new agent here, day one. What are some things that we can help him? What are some pieces of advice that you would give him that's going to help him get to the level that you guys are at? Something that he would take with him.
What do you think then?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think he's off to a good start. I think listening and picking up the things you're comfortable with, listening to how other people put it and things. Sometimes that's real helpful. And I think, like what we were just talking about, where you educate them, but not over-educate them, which I think, like what you were saying before that, where you can sort of feel out how fast do they want to talk, and then by asking them, so has anyone ever explained this to you? Then sometimes they're like, oh, no, can you? And then you can do it. Some people are like, yeah, I think I kind of know, or whatever, and then maybe you can just shorten your,
Right.
to make sure that they really do know.
Yeah, 'cause all the time
So
they'll
you
say
can
they do
continue
it.
on, but maybe not do Frank's style of continuing on.
Frank's been doing it for how many years? 8+?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, he's been doing it for a very long time.
Mhm.
yeah. And he is awesome, but it seems like only Frank can do that.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, I know.
His style cannot be duplicated.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
All you can do is try your best to take from it. And
I did have one where like, she's like, okay, well, are we gonna let's do this or whatever. And I was like, oh, I got to where I can, say I've gotten one.
Right.
Like Frank, but that's all right. I mean,
Yeah.
it takes the right person and the right combo and such. But it sounds like you're going to be a good listener, and that's the key right there, is just being a good listener and then asking the right questions, which are, you have all kinds of help here and resources for that, So it's a great place to be. I'm excited you're here.
Thank you.
Yeah, we are bringing good people on board, but it is hard. It's a hard job, because you got the niche for it. You're talking to people, you're listening, but also like your knowledge of Medicare is going to grow.
Right. Right.
And sometimes that could be bad because it's like we said, like you start to know this and you're like,
And
hey,
I want to rush to it.
Right.
exactly.
I want to rush to it. I think what I think you want already. And
Yeah.
it could be
Right.
totally wrong. I get
Yeah,
what you're saying.
exactly. Yeah, you never want to get them down rabbit holes, asking questions.
It can be so rewarding too, though, helping people that nobody would take the time of day to help them and listen to them. And this whole time they were going without all these benefits that they really they were in dire need. They really could have been using that this whole time. And they're just so thankful. And yeah, you go home and you're like, gosh, I helped this person who was just destitute and they didn't know about all this stuff. And it's a really good feeling.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And sometimes they don't even realize they had a need. It's like you're the one that knew there was transportation available. They had no idea that you could even get that on whatever, But then while you're talking along, they're like, yeah, well, sometimes my sister has a hard time getting me to the doctor. And you're like, well, maybe we can, and they're like, oh, you mean I could be independent of, like they didn't even know to ask about that. But they want, if they have the opportunity, they want to be more independent from having someone have to drive them to and from,
It's just
And
listening.
so little things, just by listening or talking long enough, I think sometimes they come out with some information that, where you really can know that you really helped this person by the end of the call, and it's a really great feeling, so.
And sometimes the call starts out, oh no, I have everything, or I don't need
Yeah,
anything.
yeah.
So many times I cannot tell you how many times you're like, no, I'm good. I have everything I need. Oh, really? Well, what is it that you have? And they don't have nearly anything that they need and that's out there. And they were just shocked that there was that, all this stuff.
Like you said on that one call, just because he didn't have anything, that's something that accidentally happens.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
just because, shouldn't have been paying that high anyways,
Mhm.
but if something happens right now at this time, he's definitely,
Yeah, we solved a few
And-
problems for him. But I could have easily said, figure out he didn't have Part B. And I could have easily said, which I'm sure which most people would have said to him, oh, you've moved and you can't get on anything, and hung up and be done with it. But digging around some more, why doesn't he have his Part B? Oh, you had it, but you don't anymore. Well, why? And this and that, and digging around. And if he'll just get his stuff back together, he's a client 100%, and he'll be a client from this
Yeah.
point forward.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Jacob's listening right now?
but that makes sense though,
On the boat.
because
No,
you
he's
could also he could refer people to you as well. So
Yeah,
at the end of the
absolutely.
day, like he probably has friends that are in his boat and
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all the time, because people who are on Medicare, they love to talk about their health, and then it leads to the health insurance they're on, and I have a really this great girl.
I think when you
that-
get older, that's how you
Yeah,
how you
that's
what
brag,
people
that's
talk
how you
about.
stunt,
Right,
Yeah.
I know.
I know.
I have a girl that can help me with that.
Yeah, I have neck problems.
I got the best one. You don't have that one? I got unlimited ride shares.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do brag about that stuff. They really do, because they'll call and say, "Oh, my friend says she has this, and that,"
Yeah.
and I'm like, "Well, let's see, get that for you," So yeah, but no, you're right.
I have a lady that is, I didn't sell her anything, because she can't do anything right now.
Mhm.
But I definitely have her, I know in October, we'll find her whatever for next year, that's
Mhm.
better. And then she's already had her sister come over and they called
Nice.
and got her sister on the phone with me, because her sister had just signed up for something at Walmart. And I'm like,
Yeah, they
so
probably don't
there
know
was
what
a
they're
booth
talking
at
about.
Walmart from a company, and I'm like, really? Anyway, I did it. I mean, like she
But
just
see how
started.
desperate
It's
these
too late.
people
She
are?
can't do.
Yes.
For help.
anything, you know. But I mean, it's like I probably have both the sisters, you know.
Here you go.
I'm a veteran that I didn't help last week either, but he's like, oh yeah, I got some buddies. I need to give them, you know. And I said, yeah, you go ahead and do that.
I mean, not to mention the people that have already found a package, but then, like you said, didn't get the right help,
Right.
but don't have no coverage on medicines, don't have
Right.
as many ride shares as they
Right.
should be having. Like,
Right.
it's just all messed up for them
Yeah.
because they just got sold a package.
Right.
Because it's that, like you said,
Or they didn't even
no
know.
empathy on the phone. Hey,
Yeah.
okay, you need this, you need that. All right, I got a plan for you. This is how much you're gonna pay, and they
Yeah.
go for it.
Yeah, I mean,
Really
there's
bad is when
some
the
people like that.
doctors aren't even in the plan.
Mm.
And
Well,
it's like,
Yeah,
we're starting to see now.
yeah.
We're starting to see now that people are getting switched unbeknownst to them.
I know, that
That-
scares me to
Oh,
pieces.
I don't know how. I really want to be a Medicare sleuth, you know, and just kind of like ask,
Medicare needs that.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, these people. I know for a fact that you guys know that we're talking on the phone. They're like, I don't know how it changed, and we probably could do some research. And they'd be like, you talked to this person a month ago, and you said, let's do this. You're like, oh yeah, I do remember that. Like, okay,
Right.
there's going to be a lot of that.
Notes
Right.
taking, like
Yeah.
everything has notes taken.
Yeah, exactly. So there's probably going to be a lot of that.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, and you know, one thing I'm answering about, I was going to tell you and I got distracted, which is like once you help someone, you sign somebody up, you know, how you combat, because you brought that up, how do you combat like them just going to somebody else after he talking to you? And that's up to you, dude. That's up to you to build that rapport. And Kim, even she ain't shy. She'll, after she signs somebody up, she'll say, now, if anybody calls you to try to talk to you about your Medicare, you say, no, I have an agent. Her name is Kim. And you don't talk to anybody else, okay? And
Right.
she gets them to say yes, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, no shame in that game. So, you know, and that's kind of
But it's
how
for their
my call
safety.
sort of-
I mean, it's really for their safety.
Yeah, it really
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
I know.
Mhm. It's
I
really-
mean, if you think about it, how many of us are really out there that actually care? If you think about it,
I mean, there's
instead of just like calling and being like, "Oh, let me just tell you over here."
right.
Right.
Well, the way that we do things, I mean, you're starting to see that we are an authentic agency, but I mean, talking to people in the business, like they are about productivity.
Mhm.
They are about metrics,
Yeah.
you know? So they're going to, it's not going to do anything unethical, but they're going to do things that we don't do. And it's sad. And it's like, that's why I was trying to figure out, like, I wonder
I mean, with that guy,
how bad it is,
Mhm.
you know?
Right.
Like these people are like there are some people, I know Kim had one, I know you had one where it was like they had no clue that they were like, I have no idea. Like the one that Kim had the other day, the lady was calling up to say like, I brought my United Healthcare card and they wouldn't take it. And
Mhm.
Kim's,
Got that.
you know, and it's like they wouldn't take my all of a sudden, like it's a new month and I don't know why it's not taking my United Healthcare card.
Mhm.
And she's like, well, let's go check it out. It's like, oh, you switched. She's like, what? Like,
Mhm.
I had no, I mean, that stuff
And
is,
she didn't even have a new card, I think, right?
yeah,
Yeah, she hadn't even gotten any new card from
I got
anywhere.
that.
yeah,
I'll just tell people, like, depending on if they happen to be in the best plan, I'll be like, look, take my note. You're good to go. Stay put. If you feel like there's anything funky going on with your stuff, call me. And as you see, I can look you up in the Medicare system and you're going to get me right away.
right,
And we'll see what the heck's going on, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
got a question.
So I'm
How
curious.
many, other than the clients you guys have here, how many other people have somebody like that? As far as when they just sign you up, you go with United Healthcare or
Yeah.
whatever. But and then they deal with United Healthcare by themselves instead of dealing it with
Like a,
with a
Like
person
a
that's-
brokerage.
that can go and
Yeah.
look and find all of it and still help you and give you advice as well.
So-
How many people are
Yeah.
so to answer that question, one is we've looked up that it's between 10 and 11,000 people a day turn 65.
Mhm.
So that's crazy in terms of enrollment. So you have those people, then you have the majority of people who already have captive agents. The rule is that you have to have an agent put their name on a policy. You have to. It's just the way the Medicare works. So whether it is a captive agent, like from United Healthcare or from Blue Cross Blue Shield, they do their own internal book of business, or like us, we're brokerage. You know, there are lots of brokerages out there, but there's very few brokerages like us
That answer the phone.
who get inbound calls like that, who have that philosophy of, first and foremost, it's about care and concern. Like, we need to know what is going on with you. Yes, we will make the money that we will make because we are leading with the rapport building and the discovery. You know, we are not about, get to the deal, get to the close. We're top heavy. We're like, let's figure out what is going on.
What works best for
Yes, because the most important numbers, more than all call length or objection, overhandling, the most important numbers are conversion, which is how much you're selling, and retention. Are they staying on the books?
I'm sure there's lots of people who just go back to their carrier every time when they're reshopping, or will call one or two and they'll just shop themselves with the people on the phone. But it's your job as a broker to educate, when you do come into contact with those people who just do that, to let them know, hey, the services I offer, because I'm a broker and I can access all the insurance companies and I don't work for anybody in particular, I work for you. It's better that you work with somebody like me.
Mhm.
Maybe they didn't realize that before.
Right.
I mean, I didn't realize it till coming in. You know what I mean? There's actual people that, when I get older,
Now you
now
know.
I know.
Right.
Mhm.
Right,
But what about the people that don't? You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So
So you just have to educate anybody that crosses your path.
I'm getting myself educated as well.
But
There's
that's the
so
problem,
many
is
people
that
that
there are people
don't
that do that.
know.
They
There's
don't-
so many.
And they go online and they do their own research online,
Oh,
and they trust the internets
they
to tell them the truth.
Yeah.
And it's like,
well, this isn't on the internet.
yeah,
Right.
I read this. My friend sent me this link from fakemedicareblog.com, and it's
Mhm.
like telling me that I don't have to. I can do it when I turn 65. It's like,
Mhm. Yep.
So what do you do then when you have someone that is trying to tell you that they know everything? Like, what are some things that you do to be like, look, you are wrong. Like, I'm only doing this not because I need to sell you, but you have bad information in your stupid brain.
At first, like asking them questions and seeing if they can even answer them.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll start realizing, I don't know.
Right.
Or if they'll, say wrong information, what is my go-to?
Oh, yes. Go. Yes.
My sweet little thing is,
Yeah.
they'll say,
There it is.
yeah, I know everything about Medicare. Medicare, it's A, B, and D, and E, F, and G, X, Y, Z, and I have all of them, and I know it all. Like, you know what? That's a really, no matter how stupid it is, that's a really common misconception. But let me kind of just clarify this for you. You
Right.
know, no matter how stupid it is, whatever they think they know.
Yeah.
Now, this needs to soften it and not make people feel like I'm telling you
Yeah.
that there's something wrong
Right.
with
Yeah.
their.
I've
Let's
gone
kinda go
to
one by
I've
one.
gone to more onerous clients where it's like, well, this is how it works, and I have A and B, and I have this Medicare supplement, and it's like, okay, and who do you have? And you just ask them questions, but it's like, when you start asking them very detailed questions, they'll always be back in the corner. They're like, well, my agent takes care of this. And then you got to say to them, then why are you not talking to your agent? Why are you talking to me?
Mhm.
Because I know everything about everything.
Well,
Not-
sometimes you have to say, I am a specialist. I am a pro at this.
Yes, I'm on the phone talking to you. I'm not a telemarketer.
Mhm.
I never say, because Kim does this too, and she's like, I'm not going to sell you anything. And I'm like, Kim, don't say that because you want to sell them something,
Right.
But we got to get her, and when she comes back, I'll tell her, like, this is not a sales call, which is
Right.
true. This is not a
Right.
sales call.
No. I come at it with like, if they start saying, do you sell? Are you in sales? And I'll be like, well, I'm an advocate and I'm here to advocate for you and educate you. And if you need something from me, I can get you something.
Yeah.
I never use the word sales, because really, first and foremost, that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Um,
I talked to Brandon about this. He's like, you should be proud to say you're a salesman. You worked hard and you have prided yourself on being this top salesperson. So you should tell them, yeah, you're dang right I'm a salesperson. But
outside of work, people ask, what do you do? I'm sales. I work in sales and I love it. But when I'm on the phone, I don't say, hey, I'm sales.
Right.
These people, they just,
Exactly.
you know how they react to that.
Correct.
They think it's gonna be, oh, this is a 10-minute call now.
Yeah.
Get my Medicare card out right now,
Yeah.
or whatever.
It's not that I'm not proud of it. It's just, their reaction.
Of course.
And what they've been experiencing.
Yeah, of course.
I'm
always listening to what he has to say. And he's like, I always told him I was sales. It's like, yeah, but I mean, we're talking to people that, like, they get 30 calls a day and they're all sales.
Yeah.
So I always say, I am an expert and this is not a sales call.
Mm-hmm.
We might sell something, but I don't know. That's what Frank does
I
well.
can provide that for you.
Yeah, I don't know what your situation is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can't give you a quote or sell you anything if I don't know what you need. There's so many options out there.
Right.
So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and and if you get some negative reactions to that, you can't help that. All you can do is say, hey, well, I'm here if you need me. If we get out of your bad mood or whatever it is.
All right. Well, that's it. That's our time. So how did it go?
I gotta get back on there.
How do you feel about doing your first JoJo? Did you learn anything? Do you have stuff to take away from this
I
session?
told him in the dojos you have to show your karate moves, and I haven't seen karate moves yet.
He's gonna kick over a light, and then
You know what?
Nico's gonna be pissed.
Let me get one of my karate moves here.
Yeah.
This is me kicking back.
Yeah. Well done. I like it.
You'll fit right in.
Nice. Let's end on that. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for participating. Go check out our YouTube page. Check out more of the videos, training videos, and dojos to gather some more information. And then if not, we will see you tomorrow.
All right.